My name is Alicia Roy, and I have a bit of a passion about board certification. I've been board certified in marital and family law since 2007. For 6 years, I sat on the area committee for marital and family law, writing the test, and served as its chair. And this is my sixth and sadly final year on BLSE, and I get the privilege of serving its chair. So I could probably be on a soapbox about board certification for much longer than the 15 minutes I have. And I tend to talk super fast, so I'm going to do my very best to not do that. So it's nice to talk to section leaders. I actually also served as the chair of the family law section back in 2013. And board certification has always been something that's sort of near and dear to the family law section. And so I'm going to apologize a little bit in advance, because part of what I've been asked to sort of talk about is how sections can really support board certification. And my primary reference would be how supportive the family law section has been at board certification over the years. So I will probably refer to some of our programs and those programs in talking about things that you can do with your sections. There are 27 areas that we have board certification in the state of Florida. If you are unfamiliar with board certification, that makes me super sad, and let me know, because we need to be doing a better job about making sure people know about it. But I'm assuming all of you are at least aware of board certification. With the updates to the Florida Bar's website, we have an excellent page on Florida Bar board certification that's very user-friendly. I'm happy to put the link in the notes, or it is pretty easy to find when you go onto the website. Because there are so many areas of certification, I don't think it would be a good use of my time to explain to you the requirements for all 27 areas or go through the details of all 27 areas. But you can certainly go to the board certification website to see which areas offer it. I do know that to apply for board certification in any practice area, someone has to be practicing for at least 5 years. But generally speaking, I think you need to start that path early. So one of the things I think sections can do to promote board certification is to start early in educating their members about what they need to do to become board certified. Some practice areas require a certain amount of trials. Some practice areas that are more transactional require a certain amount of hours doing certain things. There are some overlays between federal work and state work. And in those type of cases right now, we still only really look at state work. So it's really important to understand what the requirements are, because you can look back over the past 5 years when you're doing that initial application. So if you as sections are letting your members know early on things they should be doing to become board certified, I think that is a great way to promote board certification. Once people become board certified, there's lots of things we as sections can do to promote board certification. One of the things that I think is super helpful is to send information to our newsletter, which goes out. We do social media posts about things that go into the newsletter, plus the newsletter is published. So if you have board certified members that are doing great things out there, to promote them and to let people know that they're board certified is another excellent way sections can help promote board certification. Another way for people that have already been board certified is we give out awards at the annual meeting every year. And when those things come out, to be sure to nominate members of your section that are active for those types of awards. I think the main thing I want to talk about, though, is how we catch those people who are eligible for board certification, but they have not yet applied. And there, I think sections can be infinitely helpful. And many of the sections that are represented here today are probably already doing some of these things. One of the things that I think is most important is providing support to the area committee. The area committees don't really have budgets, so it's not like they can really provide a lot for themselves. So if you have live meetings, offering meeting space for your area committees to meet, offering food and beverage for your meetings when they're meeting, so that they have an opportunity to not just interact with your section members, but also have their own business meetings with the budget that they don't really have too much of as area committees. Another way that you can be supportive of the board certification program is to put on educational courses for board certification. So for each practice area, we have a list of the things that will be tested and what is expected to be known by someone who is applying and taking the test. So if you're able to provide educational programming that supports that list of things, it's an excellent way to support board certification. There are some caveats. Obviously, you can't teach what's on the test. People that are on area committees are not allowed to teach at those programs, nor are members of BLSE. But past members of the committees can be at those things. And I think that is a really excellent way to do support of board certification. The family law section has a 16 to 1,800 person seminar every January that goes over the nuts and bolts of family law. And it certainly serves as the backdrop for how people study for the marital and family law exam. I actually have the books that we give out every year, which I have a background on, so you can't see. But most of the judges have these books on their benches, and it's what I think most people use as their backdrop for studying. So providing materials to your members and attendees is another great way to support board certification to ensure that we have people passing the exam. Another thing that the family law section does, and I do believe there's some other areas that do this, is they actually provide sort of mentorship for people who have applied. So they filled out the application. They don't know yet that they've gotten accepted, but they provide tips and recommendations for how to study for the exam, what it's like when you sit down and take the exam. It can be a little daunting, especially after having taken the Florida bar. Many people are hesitant to take another exam. So having someone demystify it is certainly helpful. And who better to do that than someone who has already taken and passed the exam? The family law section does that in conjunction with the certification review course every January. It has a pithy little name, Tips and Nibbles. We usually have snacks and beverages, and it's in the evening before the other programming starts. And we typically have someone who is newly board certified, someone who has been board certified in the past. We try and have a representative from either the area committee or BLSE to come and speak, as well as perhaps someone who had to go through the appellate process, because there is an appellate process if you do not pass the board certification exam, to provide information and feedback to our test takers. So I think that's another excellent way to provide information and support for people who are interested in becoming board certified. I know that the section, in conjunction with the American Academy of Family Law Lawyers, is looking to put on a program to teach people how to fill out the application. You'd be surprised what a hurdle that can be, having sat on the area committee for as many years as I did, that people have a difficult time following directions. We're lawyers. I think there's a history that lawyers have a hard time following directions. So I may have as well when I filled out the exam. But it is rather lengthy for all of the practice areas and requires quite a bit of detailed information. So teaching people how to fill that out can certainly help in the process. And so, again, for those of you practice areas that have board certified lawyers on your executive councils or board certified lawyers that are active within your sections, you can tag those people to help teach at these types of smaller seminars for people who may be interested in taking the exam. I think it's also important to increase interest in taking the exam. We do have a few practice areas that, because people have not applied in so long, it's possible that they may lose their certification. And we certainly don't want that to happen. The process that a committee goes through to get approved to become a certification area is pretty lengthy. So the thought that we may lose some is disappointing. And so it's really important that we're figuring out ways to promote board certification. One of those ways I sort of talked about already, which is our promotions through social media, which is certainly the wave of the future, and now on how we're advertising and doing things. But there are certainly other ways to promote board certification within your sections. While I don't think you can technically require that people be board certified to sit on your executive councils or executive committees, it certainly helps to encourage it. so that you are encouraging people to become board certified, to become leaders in your areas. We actually have an unprecedented time at the moment where I believe everyone that sits on the Family Law Executive Committee is actually a board certified lawyer, which is super exciting, I think, for board certification. And again, I think it goes to show how much the section really promotes board certification, which again, I told you I apologized in advance. I was going to be family law heavy. But it is where my practice area lives. So I think that there's just a lot of different avenues and ways that you as section leadership can encourage board certification. Another very easy thing to do is to invite someone from BLSE or your area certification committee to just give a little 5-minute snippet at one of your CLEs, even if it's a Zoom CLE that you're having on something totally unrelated. Honestly, you could do it at every CLE if you wanted to. Just have someone come up and speak for a couple of minutes. And it doesn't even have to mean that it's at a certification related or a course related seminar. Any of your seminars, you could certainly have one of the members of BLSE or your area committee come and speak, just to give a couple of quick snippets about your particular practice area and how to go about becoming board certified in that practice area. Another thing that we have seen quite a bit of come in with questions lately has to do with CLE credit in general. To become board certified, you have to have a certain amount of certification related credits. And when we put on CLEs as sections, we apply for credit and the Florida Bar staff approves that credit. Some of it's for general, some of it can be for ethics, and some of it can be for your certification area. A lot of our certification areas overlap. So it is conceivable that one of your seminars may actually provide certification credit for another area. So I think it's really important to work with bar staff and with the other practice areas to see if you can get seminars that have more than one area that gets certification credit. It's a great way to bring additional people to your seminars, and it's a great way to promote certification. So it's really a win-win on that regard. So again, I think I could go on all day about things that we could do to promote board certification, but you have a long afternoon ahead of you. And so I will end for now. I am certainly always happy to answer questions. You can reach out to me directly or send me an email. I'm happy to answer questions if you have any.
Does anybody have any questions?
I just want to show off my family law review course booklet that she was just describing. The family law section really does an unbelievable job with its certification review. So there's no better ambassador than Alicia Roy for board certification.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Anybody have any other comments? Do all the sections, do most of the sections have a course on certification if they have a certification available? Yeah.
It's my understanding that most of them do. Maybe some of the smaller areas don't, but I believe most of them offer some type of course.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Mark Stein from BLS. So we have a lot of different certifications, unlike family law, which is all cohesive in one. We have a lot of different certification areas within our section. Some are business litigation, some are civil trial, some are intellectual property. So each group does their own certification course depending on which the group is. And some of it is section driven, some of it is like, trial lawyers does one that covers commercial litigators and the civil trial lawyers sometimes. So we're an unusual area. We have a lot of groups within our section that are covered by certification.
The beauty of that, though, is that it really enables you to offer CLEs that can meet multiple different practice areas. And that's really the beauty of what your section can do, which I think your section already does quite a bit to promote board certification. But even offering that concept of that sort of tips program, like you could bring one member of each of the practice areas to a larger CLE to provide tips to people who are interested in taking the exam about what they need to do and how to fill out the application. I mean, there's all kinds of just little ways that are certainly helpful.
Yeah, the only exception is, and like you, I'm a specialized lawyer, I'm an IP lawyer. We fall into a separate category from the civil trial lawyers and the commercial litigators and the bankruptcy lawyers. So we're a little insular in our our review materials, but you're right, there's great overlap between civil trial and the commercial litigation certifications.
And yeah, that's great. I mean, that's something all those sections should be on, be on the lookout for those opportunity to encourage the certification of these areas when you're able to. All right. Thank you very much, Alicia.
Thanks for having me.